All right, guys, thanks for tuning back in. So I know a lot of you like to deck your C8s out with carbon fiber pieces, either all the way and get as much carbon fiber on the car as you can, or use the carbon fiber as accent pieces. Either way is fine. It's your taste, it's your car. But today we have some more carbon fiber pieces that come from Extreme Online Store. I would like to thank them for sending these pieces out to me. It's going to be these rear grille bezels that go in your back bumper. Today I'm going to walk through and show you how to install these, so I hope you find this helpful and useful. Alright, so these came in a box. They come in this plastic sheet and then in this styrofoam, plastic, whatever, wrapping. And they're actually double wrapped. So let's go ahead and take a look at these. So there's the carbon fiber grill. Actually, these things are really solid feeling. There's the back. You can see the carbon fiber weave in the back. Yeah, these things feel actually really solid. These tabs here feel really strong. Actually, they don't feel like they're flimsy or like they're gonna break off or snap or anything like that. The clear coat on this feels like it's pretty dang thick. So quality looks really good. I mean, I'm really surprised how thick and like durable this thing feels. It feels really solid and heavy duty, but we'll compare it to the factory one. Let's open the other one so we have equal comparison here. So here's the same side. Here's a factory one. Here's the EOS carbon fiber one. You can see, I mean, dang near identical size. Pretty good comparison there. Here's kind of a side-by-side comparison. And look at the back here. So the EOS ones come with the backup sensor housing already attached. And it looks like it's probably epoxied on there. It actually feels like it's on there pretty solid. So, and it almost looks like a, you know, I was gonna say an OEM fitting. It could be, and it looks like maybe they just cut this piece off on the end since this piece is actually epoxied on here. The factory one, it's just kind of plastic welded on the ends here and here, but this housing piece is actually like epoxied to the carbon fiber, so I don't think it's gonna come loose. I mean, these feel really, really solid. But yeah, here's a look at them from the front one more time. And then the back. And then again, like I said, these tabs on here feel really solid. So the factory ones do feel a little flimsy. You can see there's a little flex in there and there. So when I was taking this one off, I had to be pretty careful that I didn't break it or crack it. These, however, from EOS, I mean, there's no flex in there at all. Like, they're solid. So that's good. But like I said, these do feel really solid. The clear coat on the top feels really thick, and they do look really good. So we'll go ahead and get these installed. All right, the next step is going to be removing the 16 T15 screws all the way across the top portion of the rear bumper. The next step is going to be removing 13 of these 7mm screws that run along the bottom portion of the car here. And then there's 2 of these push pins that are in these little notched areas of this little under tray, and that will disconnect the bottom portion of the bumper from the vehicle. Okay, for this next step, I removed the wheel for ease of videoing, but I also find it easier to access the nut and screws that are up in the bumper here with the wheel removed. So what you're gonna do is, once you have all the bolts, screws, clips, whatever, removed along the bottom portion of the bumper, just come up on your mud flap and you're just gonna peel it back. And it pops off. It's held on by these 4 clips and one of those 7mm screws that you removed from the bottom. Set that aside. Next thing you want to do is there's 2 T15 screws behind the mud flap. You need to remove those. Set those aside. Next thing you need to do is reach in here and grab this inner fender liner, this carpet piece, and just kind of peel it back up out of the way. So it just kind of stays out of your way, because you need access to 2 7mm screws and a 10mm nut that are up in the bumper. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on video. The driver's side is not that bad to get to. The 10mm nut, which is the very top one on the passenger side, is a pain. You need some kind of either swivel socket, or I use a flexible ratcheting wrench. You can see that's what I use. That nut is a 10mm nut. So the top one on the driver's side and the passenger side is a 10mm nut. The 2 screws that are near the bottom are 7mm, I believe. And you can use a socket or also a ratcheting wrench on those as well. So I'm going to go ahead and remove those, and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, these are going to be the first 2 7mm screws that you remove, and then this is what the 10mm nut looks like at the very top. So these 3 pieces are what hold the bumper to the quarter panel. All right, so if you're removing the bumper by yourself, which can be done, what you want to do is kind of lift up on the top and kind of rotate the bottom out, and then pull the bumper out. Now, I have a box here that height-wise is just under the bottom of the bumper. So once I pull it off, I can set the bottom of the bumper on the box to release 3 wiring harnesses on the back side of the bumper. If you can get another pair of hands, that would be great. So what I'm going to do is just kind of lift up and pull out, and then just rest the bottom of the bumper on the cardboard box, and then remove these 3 wiring harnesses. Okay, so here's one wiring harness, here's the second one, and here's the third one. They all have these red safety tabs on them. You've got to slide the red safety tab back and then depress where the red safety tab was and separate the wiring harness. Same on this side, and same on this side. If this is the first time you've removed your bumper, and this is the first time you're disconnecting these wiring harnesses, these 2 bigger ones on the ends may be a little difficult to remove, but all you're doing is pressing right there with your thumb and then pulling it back. And then the part of the wiring harness that stays on the bumper is just held in by a push pin, plastic push pin, and you can remove that if you want to. You don't have to, but if you need to get a little bit more leverage to separate these while you push, you may have to do that. Then you're good to pull the bumper off and put it on a stand so you can install the new grill pieces. All right, now that we've got the bumper on this stand, you're gonna need like a little pry tool. I have a metal and a plastic one. You're gonna wanna be careful with these plastic tabs that you don't crack them or break them on the factory vents when you're removing this wiring harness. I also have a very small flathead and a little pick tool because we're gonna have to remove this backup sensor from these clips here before we can remove the grill. And then you can see these little tabs. We're just gonna have to work our way around each one until we get this removed. So what I'm gonna do is start off by removing these little clips from the wiring harness. I just wanna be careful not to break this plastic tab in case I wanna put this factory one back on at any point in time. I'm just kind of holding the plastic tab. And also you want to make sure that you're not pushing on this vent because you don't want to break that either. All right, so we've got those two clips out. The next thing we need to do is remove this sensor from the clip here. So I'm going to try it by hand first. It's kind of an awkward position. So all I did was just kind of pull out on each side and it slides right up. You can tell it's held in by these two little tabs here. Just kind of move this out of the way. So these are actually pretty flexible. They're just plastic. They're not going to bend completely backwards, but they do have a little tolerance. They're not too stiff, so as long as you're careful, I don't think that you'll break them. Next thing we need to do is, you can see the blue tabs coming through the vent. On one side, there's a longer black tab that kind of keeps the blue tab from pushing out. And then on the, I guess the inside of the blue tab, there's just a little lip that we've got to push this blue tab over. So let's see how this goes. And I'm just going to kind of do one at a time here. So you see we've got that one popped out. And I'm just going to slowly work my way around, taking my time. So get these two popped out here and here. Just trying to be super careful that I don't break anything. There we go. I'm just going to keep working them until they decide to give without forcing them. Easy. camera's kind of being a goofball. There, well, I thought it came loose, but there we go. All right, and that is how you remove them. Now we'll go ahead and install the new one, and then do the other side, and then put the bumper back on. So this is the carbon fiber one. Looked like there may have been just a little bit of, I don't know, leftover epoxy or something in the holes where that rear sensor is going to go. I'm just going to run a drill through it and kind of clean it up, just so I don't run into any fitment issues. And then down on the bottom here, where those blue tabs are going to come through, you can see they're not perfectly straight. They're not bad, but I'm just going to run a file on them, just clean them up, just to kind of square them up, make sure they're good. Here's kind of what it looks like on the front. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's just a little uneven. I'm just going to run a file through there real quick, just to kind of clean up these holes, so we can literally get those clips to go back on without any issues. And all that is just a little bit of the epoxy resin, just a little bit of extra that was on there. So I'm just going to burr those off and clean these holes up real quick. And really it was only 2 of the holes that were kind of jagged, but I mean overall they're not bad. They probably would have went on there, but I just want to clean them up just a little bit. Yeah, I think those look pretty good. Not really taking off anything too much. Like I said, I just want to clean those holes up. We'll go ahead and snap this back on and see how it fits. So again, when we're putting this on, we'll just kind of take it slow. Line up our blue tabs with the openings, carbon fiber piece, before we really press it on there with some force. See, this one looks like it might be off just a little bit. So I'm going to take a file to that and just kind of clean that hole up just a little bit. I think everything's going to line up. I'm going to go ahead and press this down until these tabs come all the way through. And this thing fits snug to the bumper. Alright, there's no gaps on the back side. I feel pretty good about that. You can see these tabs have a small little step where the tip of the screwdriver is. You need to make sure that step comes up through the hole and over the carbon fiber. And all the tabs have that. Well, most of them. There's 2 that are shorter, but these longer ones, they all have that. You need to make sure that they come up through the carbon fiber, and then that will secure the piece to the bumper. The next thing we need to do is put the backup sensor in, and you're just going to align these 2 tabs with these 2 grooves and just kind of press it down into place, and you'll feel them both snap in, and then put your pins back in. little push pins that hold the wiring harness here. Put those back in. And then this side is done, and we'll move on to the other side. All right, once you've got the new grill pieces in, kind of reverse order. I'm gonna set the bumper on that cardboard box again, reconnect all my wiring harnesses. Make sure you're using the red safety clip to secure them. Everything is connected here. This is ready to go back on the car. Basically, you're gonna set this top section on here and then roll the bottom section back underneath the car. Now, if you want to, you can put a little bit of tape along these edges here so your corners don't hit your car, so you don't chip any paint or scratch anything. I'll do that here in just a second. I'll have somebody hold this and I'll just run some tape here real quick. All right, here we go. So basically, I don't know if you could see, but I kind of just sat the top on and then rolled the bottom underneath. The box did get kind of caught up on it, but like I said, if you're doing it by yourself, having that box helps you kind of rest it on there and then not have to like support the bumper the entire time. So I've got all this in place. I'll go ahead and put a couple screws in the center, remove this tape, and then we'll put all the screws back on, and that'll be it.
It feels good, man. It feels good, right? Yo, I'm in the light at the end of the tunnel. Paper stacks, yeah, I got them in the bundles. Harry Potter breaking bread with a monk. They said I wouldn't make it, now they looking puzzled. They said I wouldn't take it, how to go and hustle. Get the bag, it ain't never getting fumbled. In the jack, but we came up from the bottom. Through the cracks, let the light pour in. Have a blast, got the drinks pour in. Take a risk like it's a short thing. Going in, yeah, I'm going all in. Getting flued out, yeah, you can bring a friend. Dive right in, let's go. Move forward and dip in your toes. Let the rhythm take control. It's going down tonight, yeah. Dive right in, let's go. Move forward and dip in your toes. Let the rhythm take control. It's going down tonight, yeah. I just do see you laters, no goodbyes. New flows, new highs, through the dark clouds, see the blue skies, it will be I, just you wait. It's a new day, ride in the storm like a new wave. Shake, 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 moving to the beat now. Got the heat now, deep down, we know. Dive right in, let's go. Move forward and dip in your toes. Let the rhythm take control. It's going down tonight, yeah. Dive right in, let's go. Move forward and dip in your toes. Let the rhythm take control. It's going down tonight, yeah.
All right, guys, so we've got the carbon fiber grill bezels installed in the back bumper. I think they fit really nice. There's no weird gaps. They're nice and snug in there. The backup sensors are nice and snug, and they fit in there really good. The quality of the carbon fiber looks nice. The gloss looks nice, and they turned out really well. So if you guys are interested in carbon fiber pieces, you may take a look at Extreme Online Store. I think these go for about $3.99 if you're interested. That's going to be it for this one. I appreciate you watching. I'll see you in the next one.